It's 50 years since the use of silicone breast implants began in cosmetic surgery. Claire Bowes has been speaking to the American woman who was the first to have the operation.
It's springtime 1962 and a young woman from Houston, Texas is getting an awful lot more attention than she's used to.
I don't think I really got the full results of them until I went out in the public and men on the street would whistle at me.
Timmie Jean Lindsey was 30 and recently divorced. A mother to 6 children, her breasts had begun to sag, but it wasn't that bothered her. What bothered her was the tattoo of roses climbing across her breasts, which she'd recently had done and instantly regretted.
Dad had always taught us that marking your body was a sin, so I was feeling very depressed about having gotten tattoos. And so I thought I was going to be that way for the rest of my life, but luckily I found out a doctor that I'd go to. For about a year they followed me up. They removed the tattoos and followed me up, and in the process of all that is when they broached the subject of being the first woman to get the silicone breast implants. So we talked about it, and I had never thought about having anything like that done. I was more concerned probably about getting my ears pinned back, so I asked them told them, I said, I'd rather have my ears pinned back, and they said, oh, we'll do that too. And
the obliging surgeons were Frank Giroux and Thomas Cronin. They were keen to try out a new implant they'd been working on.
In 1961, a Baylor University surgical resident named Frank Giroux squeezed a plastic blood bag and remarked how much it felt like a woman's breast. And he had this aha moment where he first conceived of the silicone breast implant.
Teresa Reardon is author of Inventing Beauty, a history of the innovations that have made us beautiful. She says silicone had been popular for some time because of its unique qualities.
When silicone came on the scene, people were very excited about it because it was sort of this new miracle substance that wouldn't break down at high temperatures, so it was supposedly superior sort of substance to be inside the human body. And silicone came on the scene really in an underground way. Japanese prostitutes in the post-war era, catering to occupying American troops, felt that larger Western-style breasts would get more clients. And that's when industrial-grade silicone started disappearing off the docks of Yokohama. Women were just having silicone injected into their breasts in sort of backroom procedures.
And those procedures had some potentially nasty side effects.
There were cases of a horrible new disease called silicone rot, in which gangrene set in around the injection. So when Frank Giroux came up with this implant, his idea was that it would be safer than what women had been using. And in fact, he said, they're harmless. They're as harmless as water.
A kiss on the hand may...
During the 1950s, surgeons in the US had been experimenting with all sorts of materials to create a bigger bosom, including inserting glass balls, wood, cartilage, and various types of synthetic material into women's breasts. This was the era of the hourglass figure. It's even alleged by some that Marilyn Monroe, whose shape epitomised the decade, had artificial sponges inserted into her breasts.
But square cut or pear shape, these rocks don't lose their shape.
The interest was such that in 1958, Johns Hopkins University conducted a study to find out why women wanted implants as opposed to just padding their bras.
And all of the women in the study felt that wearing padded bras or falsies was phony. And keep in mind that at this time, falsies were a multi-million-dollar business. And so these women felt that wearing falsies seemed like cheating, and they might get caught if they were in a traffic accident and, taken to the hospital, then somebody might find them out. And in this study, almost all of the women commented that the implants changed their lives and really sort of transformed their self-image.
I don't know if it was confidence, but they did something. They made me feel more noticeable. In the past, I didn't feel I was that noticeable, you know.
Factory worker Timmie Jean Lindsey was pleased with the operation, even though she'd had no discussion with the doctors about the outcome. All she knew was that the operation was free and that her breasts would go from a B cup to a C cup.
As I came back from surgery, there was just a lot of weight on my chest. It was just real like something heavy had been sitting on my chest. But other than that, that was about it. So after maybe 3 or 4 days, the pain part of it had let up.
So what did the doctors say when they first saw your new breasts? Because they must have been really anxious to see the results.
Yeah, they were just real pleased with their work, and they were just really making quite a bit about them, and it was a little bit embarrassing to me, but I thought it just came out just perfect, you know.
So how did they feel when you touched them?
They felt soft and just like real breast, you know. They put my breast tissue on top of the silicone, the implants. So I think that made a difference. And
so initially the doctors were pleased and you were pleased and people seemed to notice. Did women notice as well?
At this time, I was working with some women that were what we call gay now. And in fact, most of the women that were there were lesbian women. And I have to say they noticed it. So, but regular women, I don't know.
So how do you know they noticed it? What did they say to you?
Well, they complimented me on it.
In the years that followed, Dr. Giraud monitored Timmie Jean Lindsey, taking photos of her every 5 years and checking her general health. And in half a century, she says she's had no real problems. Although they haven't stayed the same, the silicone's hardened while the breast tissue has softened.
You would think they'd stay all perky, but no, it's just like a regular breast. They begin to sag over the years, which surprised me. I figured they'd just stay where they were.
So the last time you saw Dr. Giraud, did he ever say to you, "Thank you so much, Timmie Jean, for being the person who took the risks"?
I think he did in the earlier years. I remember that he thanked me. In fact, he stressed to me how I was in the medical journal. I was the first woman in the world to have the silicone breast implants. And, you know, that didn't even faze me, or I don't know. They just put them in, and then I forgot it being anything of any notoriety, you know. Unless somebody brought it up to my attention, I just never think about it.
According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, breast augmentation is still the most popular form of cosmetic surgery in the US, with about 300,000 operations performed each year. Now 80, Timmie Jean Lindsey still lives and works in Texas.